Exodus 31. Builders of the meeting tent. The Lord said to Moses, "See, I have called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the family of Judah. I have filled him with the Spirit of God and wisdom, understanding, much learning, and all kinds of special work. He will plan good work in gold, silver, and brass, in cutting stones to set, and in cutting wood, for all kinds of good work. And see, I have given Aholiab, the son of Ahishamach, of the family of Dan, to help him. I have put wisdom in the hearts of all who are wise, so they may make all that I have told you: the meeting tent, the box of the law, the mercy seat upon it, and all the objects of the tent, the table and its objects, the pure gold lampstand with all its objects, the altar of special perfume, the altar of burnt gifts, with all its objects, the washing pot and its base, the well-made clothing, the holy clothing for Aaron, the religious leader, the clothing for his sons for their work as religious leaders, the oil for holy use, and the sweet-smelling perfume for the holy place. Have them do all I have told you. The day of rest. The Lord said to Moses, "Say to the people of Israel, keep my day of rest, for this is something special between me and you for all your people forever, so you may know that I am the Lord who sets you apart for myself. You will keep the day of rest, for it is holy to you. Everyone who does what is sinful this day will be put to death for sure. Whoever does any work on this day will be cut off from among his people. Work may be done for 6 days, but the seventh day is a day of rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the day of rest will be put to death for sure." So the people of Israel will keep the day of rest as a special day for all the people for all time, as an agreement forever. It is something special between me and the people of Israel forever. For the Lord made heaven and earth in 6 days, but he stopped working and rested on the seventh day. When the Lord had finished speaking to Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him the 2 stone writings of the law, pieces of stone written on by the finger of God. The gold calf. When the people saw that Moses was staying a long time before coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, "Come, make a god for us who will go in front of us, for we do not know what has become of Moses, the man who brought us out of the land of Egypt." Aaron said to them, "Take the objects of gold from the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me." So all the people took the gold objects from their ears and brought them to Aaron. He took the gold from their hands, worked on it with a sharp tool, and by melting it made it into a calf. Then they said, This is your God, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt." When Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of it. Aaron said to the people, "Tomorrow will be a special supper to the Lord." So the next day they got up early and gave burnt gifts and peace gifts. The people sat down to eat and drink and got up to play. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go down, for your people whom you brought out of the land of Egypt have turned to sin. They have been quick to turn aside from the way I have told them. They have melted gold and made a calf for themselves. They have worshipped it, have given gifts to it, and have said, 'This is your God, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt.'" The Lord said to Moses, "I have seen the people, and see, they are a strong-willed people. Now let me alone, so my anger may be against them, and I may destroy them, but I will make you into a great nation." Then Moses begged the Lord his God, saying, "O Lord, why are you very angry against your people whom you brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and a strong hand? Why should the Egyptians say, 'He brought them out to kill them in the mountains and destroy them from the earth'? Turn from your anger and change your mind about destroying your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, who were your servants. You promised them by yourself, saying, 'I will make your children become as many as the stars of the heaven, and I will give all this land I have spoken about to your children. It will be theirs forever.' So the Lord changed his mind about the things he said he would do to his people. Then Moses turned and went down from the mountain with the 2 stone writings of the law in his hand. The stones were written on both sides, on one side and the other. The stone writings were God's work. The writings were God's writings cut into the stones. When Joshua heard the sound of the people as they made noise, he said to Moses, "There is a sound of war at the tents." But Moses said, "It is not the sound of winning or the sound of losing. It is the sound of singing I hear." As soon as Moses came near the tent, he saw the calf and the dancing. Moses became very angry. He threw the stone writings from his hand and broke them at the base of the mountain. And he took the calf they had made and burned it with fire, ground it to dust, spread it over the top of the water, and made the people of Israel drink it. Then Moses said to Aaron, "What did this people do to you to make you bring such great sin upon them?" Aaron said, "Do not let my Lord be angry. You know the people yourself and how sinful they are. They said to me, 'Make a god for us who will go in front of us, for we do not know what has become of Moses, the man who brought us out of the land of Egypt.' And I said to them, 'Whoever has any gold, let them take it off.' So they gave it to me. I threw it into the fire, and out came this calf." Moses saw that Aaron had let the people go wild and become a shame to those who hated them. So Moses stood in the gate of the place where they had set up their tents and said, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." And all the sons of Levi came together around him. He said to them, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Every man put his sword on his thigh and go from one end of the tents to the other, and each one kill his brother, his friend, and his neighbor." So the sons of Levi did as Moses said. About 3,000 men fell that day. Then Moses said, "Today you have set yourselves apart for the Lord, for each man has been against his son and against his brother. So the Lord may bring good to you today." The next day, Moses said to the people, "You have sinned. Now I am going up to the Lord. It might be that I can have your sin forgiven." Then Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Oh, this people have sinned. They have made a god of gold for themselves, but you will forgive their sin. But now if you will forgive their sin, if not, then take my name out of your book, which you have written." The Lord said to Moses, I will put out of my book whoever has sinned against me. But go now, lead the people where I told you. See, my angel will go before you, but in the day when I will punish them for their sin. Then the Lord sent trouble upon the people because of what they did with the calf Aaron has made. Israel leaves Mount Sinai. The Lord said to Moses, "Go away from this place, you and the people you have brought out of the land of Egypt. Go to the land that I promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I will give it to your children. I will send an angel before you, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, and the Hivites, and the Jebusite. Go up to the land flowing with milk and honey, but I will not go with you, because you are a strong-willed people, and I might destroy you on the way." When the people heard this bad news, they were filled with sorrow. None of them wore his objects of gold or silver, for the Lord had said to Moses, "Say to the people of Israel, you are strong-willed people. If I go with you even for just a little time, I would destroy you. So take off your objects of gold and silver, that I may know what to do with you." So the people of Israel took off all their objects of gold and silver at Mount Horeb. Moses meets with the Lord. Now Moses used to take the tent and set it up far away from the other tents. He called it the meeting tent. Anyone who wanted to meet with the Lord would go away from the other tents to the meeting tent. When Moses went out to the tent, all the people would get up and stand at the door of their tents, and they would watch Moses until he went into the meeting tent. Whenever Moses went into the meeting tent, the cloud would come down and stand at the door of the tent. And the Lord would speak with Moses. When all the people saw the cloud standing at the door of the meeting tent, they would stand up and worship, each at his tent door. The Lord spoke to Moses face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. When Moses returned to the other tents, his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, would not leave the meeting tent. God's promise to be with his people. Moses said to the Lord, "See, you say to me, lead this people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you said, I have known you by name. You have found favor in my eyes, so I pray to you. If I have found favor in your eyes, let me know your ways, then I may know you and find favor in your eyes. Keep in mind that this nation is your people." The Lord said, "I myself will go with you. I will give you rest." Then Moses said to him, "If you yourself do not go with us, do not have us leave this place. For how will I know? Will it be known that I and your people have found favor in your eyes, unless you go with us? Then I and your people will be different from all the other people on the earth." The Lord said to Moses, "I will do what you have said, for you have found favor in my eyes, and I have known you by name." Moses said, "I pray to you, show me your shining greatness." And God said, "I will have my goodness pass in front of you. I will make the name of the Lord known in front of you. I will have loving kindness and loving pity for anyone I want to." But he said, "You cannot see my face, for no man can see me and live." Then the Lord said, "See, there is a place beside me. You stand there on the rock. While my shining greatness is passing by, I will put you in the large crack of the rock, and I will cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will take my hand away, and you will see my back, but my face will not be seen." Moses makes new pieces of stone. The Lord said to Moses, "Cut 2 pieces of stone like the first ones, and I will write on the stones the words that were on the first stones which you broke. So be ready in the morning. Come up in the morning to Mount Sinai and stand before me on the top of the mountain. No one is to come up with you. Do not let anyone be seen on the whole mountain. Even the sheep and the cattle may not eat in front of the mountain." So Moses cut 2 pieces of stone like the first ones. Then he got up early in the morning, and went up upon Mount Sinai as the Lord told him. And he took the 2 pieces of stone in his hand. The Lord came down in the cloud and stood there with Moses as he called upon the name of the Lord. Then the Lord passed by in front of him, saying, the Lord God, with loving pity and loving favor, slow to anger, filled with loving kindness and truth, keeping loving kindness for thousands, forgiving wrongdoing and sin, but he will not let the guilty go without being punished. He brings the sin of fathers down upon the children, even the great-grandchildren. Moses was quick to put his face to the ground in worship. And Moses said, "O Lord, if I have found favor in your eyes, I pray, let the Lord go with us, even if the people are strong-willed. Forgive our wrongdoing and our sin, and take us for your own." The agreement made alive again. Then God said, "See, I am going to make an agreement. I will do powerful works in front of all your people, which have never been done on earth among any nation. All the people with whom you live will see the work of the Lord, for what I am going to do with you will fill people with fear. Be sure to do what I am telling you this day. See, I am going to drive out of your way the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Pezerite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Take care to make no agreement with the people of the land where you are going. It would be a trap to you. Instead, you are to tear down their altars, break their objects of worship, and cut down their false gods. For you must not worship any other god, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. So do not make an agreement with the people of the land, or when they follow their desire with their gods and give gifts to their gods. They would ask you to eat of their gift used in worship, and you would marry your sons to their daughters who follow their gods, and they would lead your sons to follow their gods also. Do not make any gods for yourself. Keep the special supper of bread without yeast. Eat bread without yeast for 7 days, as I told you, at the time set aside for it in the month of Abib. For you came out of Egypt in the month of Abib. Every firstborn belongs to me, and all your male animals, the firstborn from the cattle and sheep. But the life of a firstborn donkey should be paid for with the blood of a lamb. If you do not pay for its life, you should break its neck. Pay for the life of all your firstborn sons with the blood of a lamb. No one is to come before me without a gift. Work 6 days, but rest on the 7th day. Rest even during plowing time and gathering time. Have the special supper of weeks at the first gathering of grain. Have the special supper of gathering time. Have the special supper of gathering time at the end of the year. 3 times a year, all your males are to come before the Lord God, the God of Israel, for I will drive nations out of your way and give you more land. No man will desire to have your land when you go to show yourselves before the Lord your God. Do not give do not give the blood of my gift together with bread made with yeast. Do not leave any of the gift of the special supper of the Passover until morning. Bring the first of the first fruits of your ground into the house of the Lord your God. Do not boil the meat of a young goat in its mother's milk. The Lord said to Moses, write these words, for by these words I have made an agreement with you and with Israel. Moses was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He did not eat bread or drink water. He wrote on the stones the words of the agreement, the 10 great laws. Moses goes down from Mount Sinai. Moses came down from Mount Sinai with 2 stone writings in his hand. He did not know what the skin of his face was shining because he did not know that the skin of his face was shining because of the speaking of his speaking with the Lord. When Aaron and all the people of Israel saw Moses, they saw that the skin of his face was shining. They were afraid to come near him. But Moses called to them, and Aaron and all the leaders of the people returned to him. And Moses spoke to them. After this, all the people of Israel came near. Moses told them to do all the Lord had said to him on Mount Sinai. When Moses had finished speaking with them, he covered his face with a piece of cloth. But whenever Moses went before the Lord to speak with him, he would take off the face covering until he came out. Then he would tell the people of Israel what the Lord had said for them to do. The people of Israel saw that the skin of Moses' face shone. So Moses would put the covering over his face again until he went in to speak with the Lord. The 7th day, a holy day. Then Moses gathered together all the people of Israel, saying, these are the things that the Lord has told you to do. Work may be done for 6 days, but the 7th day will be a holy day for you, a day of rest to the Lord. Whoever does any work on this day will be put to death. Do not make a fire in any of your tents on the day of rest. Give gifts for the meeting tent. Moses said to all the people of Israel, this is what the Lord has told you to do. Take from among you a gift to the Lord. Whoever has a willing heart, let him bring the Lord's gift, gold, silver, and brass, and blue, purple, and red cloth, fine linen, cloth made from goat hair, ram skin made red, badger skin, and acacia wood, lamp oil, spices for the oil for holy use, and for the sweet-smelling perfume, onyx stones and stones to be set for the linen vest and the breastpiece, parts of the meeting tent. Let every able workman among you every able workman among you come and make all that the Lord has told us to make. The meeting tent, its tent and its coverings, its hooks, its wood pieces, its cross pieces, its pillars, and in their bases, the special box of the agreement, and the long pieces of wood for carrying it, the mercy seat, the curtain to hang in front of it, the table of the long pieces of wood for carrying it, all its objects, and the holy bread to set before the Lord. Also, the able workmen are to make the lampstand for the light, and its lamps and oil for the light, the altar of special perfume, and the long pieces of wood for carrying it, the oil for holy use, the sweet-smelling perfume, and the curtain for the door of the meeting tent. Also, they are to make the altar of burnt gifts with its brass net and long pieces of wood for carrying it, all its objects, the washing pot and its base, the curtains of the open space, its pillars and its base, and the curtain for the gate of the open space. Also, the able workmen are to make the nails of the meeting tent, and the nails of the open space, and their ropes, the well-made clothing for working in the holy place, the holy clothing for Aaron, the religious leader, and the clothing for his sons as they work as religious leaders. People bring their gifts. Then all the people of Israel went away from Moses, and everyone whose heart or spirit moved him brought the Lord's gift to be used for the meeting tent, for all its work, and for the holy clothing. Then all the men and women who wanted to give brought objects of gold that had been worn on their clothing, ears, fingers, and arms. Every man gave a gift of gold to the Lord. And everyone who had blue, purple, and red cloth, fine linen cloth made from goat's hair, ram skin made red, and badger skin, brought them. Everyone who could give a gift of silver or brass brought it as a gift to the Lord. Everyone who had acacia wood to be used for the work brought it. All the able women made cloth with their hands. They brought the blue, purple, and red cloth and fine linen they had made. All the able women whose hearts moved them made cloth from goat hair. The leaders brought the onyx stones and the stones to be set for the linen vest and the breastplate with a breastpiece, and the spice and the oil for the light, and the oil for holy use, and for the sweet smelling perfume. The oil, the people of Israel who wanted to brought the people of Israel who wanted to brought gifts to the Lord. Every man and woman whose heart moved them brought what the Lord had told them through Moses. Workmen called by God. Then Moses said to the people of Israel, See, the Lord has called by name Bezalel. See, the Lord has called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the family of Judah. The Lord has filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom, understanding, much learning, and in all work, so he can make plans for working in gold, silver, and brass, and cut stones to be set, cut wood, and do good work for every kind. The Lord has given him the power to teach also, both he and Oholiab, the son of Ahishamek, excuse my pronunciation, of the family of Dan. He has made them able to do every work, writing words in stone, gold, silver, and brass, planning, sewing beautiful work on blue, purple, and red cloth, and fine linen, making cloth, and all kinds of work done by able workmen. Bezalel and Oholiab will do the work together with every workman whom the Lord has made able and understands how to do all the work in the building of the holy place. They will do all that the Lord has said. The people will bring more than enough. Then Moses said to Bezalel and Oholiab and every workman whom the Lord had made able, everyone whose heart moved him to come to do the work. They received from Moses all the gifts the people of Israel had brought from the work of building the holy place. And they kept bringing gifts because they wanted to every morning. All the able workmen came who were doing all the work on the holy place. Each man came from the work he had been doing. They said to Moses, "The people are bringing much more than enough for the work the Lord told us to do." So Moses made it be known to all the people, saying, "No man or woman is to give any more gifts for the holy place." So the people were kept from bringing any more, for the things they had were enough for doing all the work. There was more than enough. Building of the tent. All the able men among those who were doing the work made the meeting tent with 10 curtains. They made them of fine linen and blue, purple, and red cloth, with cherubim sewed into them by an able workman. Bazalel made them. Each curtain was as long as 14 long steps and as wide as 2 long steps, all of them the same. He joined 5 curtains to each other, and the other 5 curtains he joined to each other, and he took small pieces of blue cloth longer than they were wide. He sewed both ends to the side of the last curtain in the first row. Then he did the same on the side of the last curtain in the second row. He put 50 of these pieces on the one curtain, and he put 50 on the side of the other curtain, so that the pieces met each other. He made 50 hooks of gold. Then he joined the curtains together with the hooks, so the meeting tent was as one. He made curtains of goat hair for covering over the meeting tent. He made 11 curtains in all. Each curtain was as long as 15 long steps and as wide as 2 long steps, all of them the same. He joined 5 curtains by themselves and 6 curtains by themselves. He took 50 small pieces of cloth longer than they were wide, of each to the side of the last curtain in the first row. Then he sewed 50 pieces onto the side of the last curtain in the second row. He made 50 hooks of brass, and he put the hooks through the sewed pieces of cloth and joined the tent together as one. He made a covering for the tent out of ram skin made red, and a covering of badger skin over this. Then he made the pillars of acacia wood for the meeting tent. Each piece of wood was as long as 5 long steps and as wide as 1 step. He made 2 joining pieces in each piece of wood for joining them together. He did this for all the pieces of wood of the meeting tent. He made 20 pieces of wood for the south side of the meeting tent. He made 40 silver bases under the 20 pieces of wood, 2 bases under each piece of wood. Then he made 20 pieces of wood for the north side of the meeting tent, and he made 40 silver bases with 2 bases under each piece of wood. He made 6 pieces of wood for the back and west side of the meeting tent. He made 2 pieces of wood for the back corners. They were together at the bottom and joined at the top with 1 ring. They were made the same for the 2 corners. There were eight pieces of wood with 16 silver bases, 2 under each piece of wood. He made long straight pieces of acacia wood, 5 of the pieces of wood on one side of the meeting tent, and 5 for the pieces of wood on the other side of the meeting tent. Then he made 5 for the pieces of wood at the back of the meeting tent on the west side. He made the long straight cross piece for the center to pass through from end to end. He covered the pieces of wood with gold. He made rings of gold to hold the long straight pieces of wood. And he covered the pieces of wood with gold. He made the curtain of blue and purple and red cloth and fine linen. He made it with cherubim sewed into it. It showed into it by an able workman. He hung it on 4 pillars of acacia wood, covered with gold. Their hooks were made of gold, and he made 4 silver bases for it. He made a curtain for the door of the meeting tent out of blue, purple, and red cloth and fine linen, the work of an able workman. He made 5 pillars with their hooks and covered their tops with gold, but he made their 5 bases of brass. Making of the special box of the agreement. Bezalel made the special box of the agreement of acacia wood, 2.5 arm lengths long, 1.5 arm lengths wide, and 1.5 arms length tall. He covered it inside and out with pure gold, and he made a piece of gold to put on it all around. He made 4 rings of gold for it, and he put 2 rings on one side of it and 2 rings on the other side. He made long pieces of acacia wood and covered them with gold. Then he put the long pieces of wood through the rings on the sides of the special box to carry it. He made a mercy seat of gold, pure gold, 2.5 arm lengths long and 1.5 arm lengths wide. He made 2 cherubim out of beaten gold and at the 2 ends of the mercy seat. He made 1 cherub on one end and 1 cherub on the other end. He made 1 cherub on one end and 1 cherub on the other end. He made the cherubim and the mercy seat of one piece. The cherubim had their wings spread up over the mercy seat. Their faces were toward each other and toward the mercy seat. Then he made a table of acacia wood, 2 arms length long, 1 arm length wide, and 1.5 arm lengths tall. He covered it with pure gold and made a gold piece around it. He made a piece around it as wide as a hand, and he put gold on the side of this piece all around. He made 4 rings of gold for it. He put them on the 4 corners that were on the table's 4 legs. The rings were close to the sides to hold the long pieces of wood used to carry the table. He made the long pieces of acacia wood and covered them with gold. The table was carried with these. He made of pure gold its plates, its pots, and its jars for pouring gifts of drink. making the lampstand. Then he made the lampstand of pure gold, and the base of the lampstand of beaten gold. Its cups, its buds, and its flowers were all made of one piece. 6 branches went out of its sides, 3 branches of the lampstand out of one side, and 3 branches out of its other side. 3 cups were made to look like almond flowers, each with bud and flower on one branch and 3 on the next branch. This was done for all 6 branches going out of the lampstand. In the lampstand there were 4 cups made to look like almond flowers with their buds and flowers. A bud was under each of the 6 branches going out of the lampstand. Their buds and their branches were of one piece with it. All of it was one piece of pure beaten gold. He made it 7 lamps. The tools for putting out the light and its dishes of pure gold. He made it and all its objects out of a piece of gold, about half the weight of a man. Making the altar. Then he made the altar for burning special perfume of acacia wood. It was 1 arm length long, 1 arm length wide, and as high as a man's waist. Its horns were of one piece with it. He covered its tops, all its sides, and its horns with pure gold. And he made a piece of gold to go around it. Then he made 2 gold rings to put under this piece. He put 1 on the altar's left side and 1 on its right side to hold the long pieces of wood used for carrying it. He made the long pieces of acacia wood and covered them with gold, making the holy oil and special perfume. And he made the holy oil for pouring and the pure sweet-smelling perfume of spices, the work of an able workman, making the altar for burnt gifts. Then he made the altar for burnt gifts of acacia wood. It was as long and as wide as 3 steps and as tall as a man's chest. He made horns on its 4 corners of one piece with it and covered it with brass. He made all the objects of the altar, its pails, its tools for picking up the ashes, its pots, meat hooks, and fire holders of brass. He made a net for it of brass. It was put under the altar, and it came up halfway. He put 4 rings of brass at the 4 corners of the net to hold the long piece of wood. He made the long pieces of wood of acacia wood and covered them with brass. He put the long pieces of wood through the rings on each side of the altar for carrying it. He made the altar with pieces of wood so it was empty inside, making the pot of brass for washing. He made the pot for washing and its base of brass. They were made from the mirrors of the women servants who worked at the door of the meeting tent. They were made from the mirrors of the women servants who worked at the door of the meeting tent. Then he made the open space for the holy tent. On the south side were the curtains for the open space. Then he made the open space for the holy tent. On the south side were curtains for the open space. On the south side were curtains for the open space. They were made of fine linen as long as 50 long steps. They hung from 20 pillars with 20 brass bases. The hooks of the pillars and their rings were made of silver. And on the north side there were curtains as long as 50 long steps and 20 pillars with 20 brass bases. The hooks of the pillars and their rings were made of silver. On the west side there were curtains as long as 25 long steps. They had 10 pillars with 10 bases. The hooks of the pillars and their rings were made of silver. The east side was as wide as 25 long steps. The curtains for one side of the gate were as long as 7 steps. They had 3 pillars with 3 bases. On the other side there were curtains as long as 7 steps, with 3 pillars and 3 bases, and the curtains around the open space were made of fine linen. The bases for the pillars were made of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their rings were made of silver. Their tops were covered with silver, and their pillars were joined with silver. The curtain for the gate of the open space was the work of an able workman. It was made of blue, purple, and red cloth and fine linen. It was as long as 10 long steps and as high as a man raises his hand to go with the curtains around the open space. Its 4 pillars and their bases were made of brass. Their hooks and rings were made of silver, and their tops were covered with silver. All the nails of the meeting tent and the open space were made of brass. The parts are weighed. This is the number of the things for the meeting tent of the law, as they were given by the mouth of Moses, for the work of the Levites under the leading of Ithamar, the son of Aaron, the religious leader, Bezalel, the son of Uri, son of Hur, of the family of Judah, made all that the Lord had told Moses. With him was Oholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the family of Dan. He was an able workman who cut words in stone, gold or silver, and in sewing blue, purple, and red cloth and fine linen. All the gold used for the work of the holy tent. The gold given as a gift in worship weighed as much as 12 men. The silver given by the people weighed as much as 40 men. Each one of the men who were 20 years old and older added up to 603,550 men. 603,550 men gave only a small weight of silver. 100 heavy weights of silver were used for making the bases for the holy tent and for the curtain in front of the most holy place. 100 bases were made from the heavy weights of silver, and from the heavy weights of silver he made hooks and joining parts for the pillars, and also covered their tops. The brass that was given weighed as much as 30 men. With it he made the base for the door of the meeting tent, the brass altar and its brass net, and all the objects of the altar. He also made bases all around the open space and the base for the gate of the open space and all the nails of the meeting tent and all around the open space, making the cloths or the clothes of the religious leader. They used the blue, purple, and red cloth for the well-made clothing for those working in the holy place. They made the holy clothing for Aaron, just as the Lord had told Moses, making the linen vest. Baziel made the linen vest of gold, blue, purple, and red cloth and fine linen. They beat the gold into plates. Then they cut them into strings to be sewn in with blue, purple, and red cloth. And the fine linen, the work of an able workman, they made shoulder pieces for the linen vests, joined at its two top ends. The well-made belt on it was made of the same gold and blue, purple, and red cloth and fine linen, just as the Lord had told Moses. They set the onyx stones into beautiful pieces of gold. The names of Israel's sons were cut in the stones like the writing on a ring by an able workman. They were put on the shoulder pieces of the linen vest to help them remember the sons of Israel, just as the Lord had told Moses. Making the breastpiece. Bezalel made the breastpiece, the work of an able workman. It was like the work of the linen vest of gold and purple, of gold, blue, purple, and red cloth and fine linen. It was as long as it was wide, with one half laid over the other. It was made as long and as wide as a man's finger can spread. They put 4 rows of stones on it. The first row was a ruby, a topaz, and an emerald. The second row was a turquoise, a sapphire, and a diamond. The third row was a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row was a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They were set in beautiful pieces of gold. Each of the 12 stones had written on it the name of one of the sons of Israel. Each name spoke of one of the 12 family groups. They made chains for the breast pieces like ropes of pure gold. And they made 2 gold rings and put them on the 2 ends of the breast piece. They joined the other 2 ends of the 2 chains to the beautiful gold pieces that hold the 2 stones at the shoulders, joining them in the front. They made 2 gold rings to put on the 2 ends of the breast piece on the inside next to the linen vest. Then they made 2 gold rings and put them on the bottom of the 2 shoulder pieces of the linen vest in front, near where they joined. They were above the belt of the linen vest. They tied the rings of the breastpiece to the rings of the linen vest with a blue rope, so the breastpiece could not come loose from the linen vest, just as the Lord had told Moses. Making other pieces of cloths or clothes. Then he made the long piece of clothing all of blue. There was an opening at its top in the center, Slakia. there was an opening at its top in the center. Around the opening, it was sewed like the opening on heavy battle clothing, so it could not be torn. They made pomegranates of blue, purple, and red cloth and fine linen to put all around the bottom of this clothing. They made bells of pure gold, and they put the bells between the pomegranates all around the bottom of the clothing. They put a bell and then a pomegranate all around the bottom of this clothing. It was for the work of the Lord, and he was just as the Lord had told Moses. They made the long coats of fine linen for Aaron and his sons. They made the beautiful head coverings of fine linen and the clothing that covered the flesh from the belt to the legs. And they made the wide belt of fine linen in blue, purple, and red cloth, which was the work of an able workman, just as the Lord had told Moses. They made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and they cut in it like the writings on a ring. Holy to the Lord. They joined it to the front of the head covering with a blue rope, just as the Lord had told Moses. The work finished. So all the work of the holy tent, the meeting tent, was finished. The sons of Israel did all that the Lord had told Moses. They brought the meeting tent to Moses, the tent and all its objects, its hooks, all kinds of pieces of wood, pillars, and brass. They brought the coverings of ram's skins made red, the covering of badger skin, and the curtain to hang in front of the most holy place. They brought the special box of the agreement in its long pieces of wood for carrying it, and its mercy seat, the table and all its objects, the bread to be put before the Lord, the pure gold lampstand and with its lamps, all its objects, and the oil for the light. They brought the gold altar, the oil for holy use, the sweet-smelling perfume, and the curtain for the door of the meeting tent. They brought the brass altars, its brass nets, its long pieces of wood for carrying it, and all its objects, the washing pot and its stand, the curtains for the open space, its pillars and brass and bases for the curtains for the gate of the open space, its ropes and nails, and all the tools for the work of the meeting tent. They brought the clothing for the work in the holy place, the holy clothing for Aaron, the religious leader, and the clothing of his sons for their work as religious leaders. So the people of Israel did all the work just as the Lord had told Moses. Moses looked at all the work and saw they had done it just as the Lord had said. So Moses gave thanks and prayed that good would come to them, putting up the meeting tent and setting it apart. The Lord said to Moses, "Set up the holy tent, the meeting tent, and on the first day of the first month, put the special box of the law there, and hang the curtain in front of it. Bring in the table and set its objects on it. Bring in the lampstand and light its lamps. Set the gold altar of special perfume in front of the box of the law. Hang the curtain for the door of the meeting tent. Set the altar of burnt gifts in front of the door of the holy tent. the meeting tent. Set the washing pot between the meeting tent and the altar and put water in it. Hang the curtains all around the open space and hang the curtain at the gate of the open space. Then take the oil and pour it upon the meeting tent and all that is in it. Set it apart with all its objects, and it will be holy. Pour the oil upon the altar of burnt gifts and all its objects. Set the altar apart, and it will be holy. Pour the oil upon the washing pot and its stand to set it apart. Then bring Aaron and his sons to the door of the meeting tent and wash them with water. Put the holy clothing on Aaron, then pour oil upon him and set him apart to work for me as a religious leader. Bring his sons and put long coats on them. Then pour oil upon them as you have done to their father, so they may serve me as a religious leader. Pouring oil upon them will make them ready to be religious leaders, and they and all their children to come. Moses did all that the Lord told him to do on the first day of the first month of the second year. The meeting tent was set up. Moses set up the meeting tent, laid the bases, set up its pieces of wood, put in its cross pieces, and set up its pillars. He spread the covering over the meeting tent, and he put the top covering over it, just as the Lord had told Moses. Then he took the law and put it in the special box. He put the long pieces of wood on. He put the long pieces of wood on the special box of agreement. He put the mercy seat on top of the special box. He brought the special box into the meeting tent and hung the curtain. He put the curtain in front of the special box of the agreement, just as the Lord had told Moses. Then he put the table in the meeting tent on the north side of the tent, outside of the curtain. He set the bread in its place on the table before the Lord, just as the Lord had told Moses. Then he put the lampstand in the meeting tent away from the table on the south side of the tent. He set up the lamps before the Lord, just as the Lord had told Moses. He put the gold altar in the tent of meeting in front of the curtain, and he burned sweet-smelling perfume on it, just as the Lord had told Moses. Then he hung the curtain at the door of the meeting tent. He set the altar of burnt gifts in front of the door of the meeting tent, and he gave the burnt gift and the grain gift of it. And he gave the burnt gift and the grain gift on it, just as the Lord had told Moses. He put the washing pot between the tent of the meeting and the altar with water in it for washing. Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their feet, washed their hands and feet there. They washed when they came into the tent of meeting and when they came near the altar, just as the Lord told Moses. He made the open space all around the meeting tent and the altar, and he hung the curtain for the gate of the open space. So Moses finished the work. The cloud over the meeting tent. Then the cloud covered the meeting tent. The shining greatness of the Lord filled the holy tent. Moses was not able to go into the meeting tent because the cloud had rested upon it, and the shining greatness of the Lord filled the holy tent. When the cloud was lifted from the meeting tent. The people of Israel would go on their way through all their traveling days. But when the cloud was not lifted, they did not move on until the day when it was lifted. For the cloud of the Lord rested on the meeting tent during the day, and fire was in the cloud during the night. It was seen by all the people of Israel as they traveled.